So in this video I'm going to demonstrate how to do game 4 from Prep Test 73. This one is basically a grouping game. We do have an uncertain number of players, so we might be able to use the players multiple times, so that makes it a bit more challenging. We do have 3 groups, so this isn't an in and out game where, you know, they're either in one group or they're in the other group, that kind of thing. So it's a bit more challenging. Okay, so let's just get to it. So if you're ever wondering about how to set up a game board, you can just look to the first question for a clue, because usually that's going to be an acceptability question where they kind of give you options and then you have to find the ones that break rules, but they do set up the options in a particular way. So in this case, they just have the groups listed, 1, 2, 3, and then they show, you know, which flowers are in each group. So we can do the same thing. So we've got our 3 groups, and then the options that we have for kinds of flowers are L, P, R, S, and T. Okay, but yeah, we don't know how many types are in each group at this stage, and we don't know how many times we can use each kind of flower, right? Each type of flower. All right, bouquets 1 and 3 can't have any kind of flower in common, right? So if it's in 1, it's not going to be in 3. If it's in 3, it's not going to be in 1. Okay. Bouquets 2 and 3 must have exactly 2 kinds of flowers in common. So they will have exactly 2 kinds in common. That's one way that we could show that, right, with those little shapes. You could also say, let's see, 2 in 2, 2 and 3. That's one way that you could do it. Just some way that you want to represent that rule. I'm not picky about it. You don't have to use the shapes if you don't like them. Bouquet 3 has to have snapdragons. Now, we don't know if that's something that they share with bouquet 2, so we can't add it to either one of the shapes. Rule 4, if a bouquet has lilies, so if L, then it must also have roses, but it can't have snapdragons. Okay, so but and are logically equivalent to one another. Okay, so in our conditional statement, that's just going to be an and. Okay, so obviously they, you know, mean slightly different things when we use them, right? But in this case, we are just going to use them as and. That's just another piece. So but translates to and, it doesn't translate to or. That's the key. So then when we negate and, it becomes or. So we negate R, negate and, negate not S, and then we negate L, right? So the contrapositive we've flipped and we've negated each piece of each side. Okay, rule 5. If a bouquet has tulips, then it must also have peonies. If it doesn't have peonies, then it can't have tulips. Okay, so we do actually have something triggered here. So the contrapositive of rule 4 has been triggered because we know that bouquet 3 has snapdragons, therefore we know that bouquet 3 cannot have lilies. Okay, and we don't have any wild cards. There's not a whole lot else that we can do at this stage. So let's go into the questions. So question 19, we would answer just based on process of elimination with each of the rules. So if it's in 1, it can't be in 3. So 1 and 3 can't have any in common, so B is out, right? So that's rule 1. Rule 2 says that 2 and 3 have to have exactly 2 in common. Okay, so in A, A, that's peonies and tulips. In C, that's roses and snapdragons. In D, that's peonies and snapdragons. And in E, that's lilies and roses. So that one works out fine. We don't have any rule breakers for rule 2. Rule 3 is up here. We have to have snapdragons. And I'm just going to add that we can't have lilies. I'm just going to add that right away. So we have snapdragons in 3 and not lilies. So A is fine, C is fine. D and E are out. Bouquet 3 cannot have lilies. So those guys break rule 3/4. Okay, that the combination of rule 3 and 4. And then if we have tulips, we have to have peonies. So A is fine. C, if we have tulips, we should have peonies. So C is out because it breaks rule 5. Okay, so A is the correct answer. I'm just going to show what A is in my own format here. Okay, 3 peonies, snapdragons, tulips. So they have peonies in common and tulips in common. Okay. So that just gives us an idea that bouquet 1 and 2 can actually have a flower in common, even though 1 and 3 can't, and 3 and 2 have to have 2 flowers in common. Okay. All right. So that's one acceptable solution that we can draw on. And I'm just going to do one other question. I'll just skip to the end and do question 23. Which one of the following cannot be true? Lilies and roses are the only kinds of flowers in bouquet 1. So we actually can eliminate that one based off of our acceptable solution here, right? We know that that's possible, so we can eliminate it. B, peonies and tulips are the only kinds of flowers in bouquet 1. So tulips and peonies, okay. In bouquet 1, bouquet 2, and 3 would have to have some in common. So we have snapdragons, lilies and roses, no problem with that. That's an acceptable solution, so B is out. C, lilies, peonies, and roses are the only kinds of flowers in bouquet 2. So 1, 2, 3, lilies, peonies, and roses. Okay, oh wait, snapdragons, no lilies. Sorry, this is not right. So if you have snapdragons, you can't have lilies, but could have snapdragons and roses, and then snapdragons and roses could be also in bouquet 2, and then no lilies. So do we have to use all of the flowers? No, we don't actually have to use all the flowers, so B is still okay if I make those changes. Yeah, but we just don't have any lilies. All right. Yeah, I don't think we have to. I'm just gonna go back and check again. So each of the bouquets is composed of one or more. So we have to have at least one type of flower in each bouquet, but we don't have to use each flower at least once. Yeah, so there's no problem with not having lilies. Okay. All right, so 23, answer choice C. So looking at that one. So here, snapdragons can't have lilies, but we could have peonies and roses in common. That's fine. But then we can't have peonies. Up here, we can't have tulips because we can't have peonies. We can't have S or R, and since we can't have R, we can't have L. So here it's a problem because each bouquet has to have at least one flower. So that's why C breaks a rule, but B doesn't. Okay. So yeah, that's kind of a good reminder. And I did make a mistake there by adding lilies. And you can see right there, I was saying, you know, lilies aren't actually allowed in bouquet 3. Okay. So if you do have any questions about that, if you'd like me to go over it again, please let me know. Okay. And yeah, if you have questions about any other games, let me know as well.